Hi, it's Allison Dawrant from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I thought I would start the video with my 2024 Artist Almanac calendar, also a collage fodder resource. And if this is something that interests you, I know some of you, when I had first showed this on my channel, you had gone to purchase it and it was sold out super fast. So this was put together by many contributing artists, and I found out that there is a Facebook page. So if you go to, I believe it's under the Artist Almanac, you can subscribe to their Facebook page. And that way, if they do publish one for 2025, you will be able to stay in the loop that way. So I'm just gonna pull today's date. I've been playing around with some of the pages. Initially, when I got this calendar, I really wanted to keep them all intact, but I feel that I am getting more use out of it. And some of the pages I'd written on the back. Wow, where does the year go? We are looking for Thursday, April 18th. And actually just looking at April 17th, I see embroidery in this artwork and it is so beautiful. I really love how some artists add embroidery to their work. I got into this a couple years ago as well, but I often forget about it. I did a whole series called Finding Frida One Stitch at a Time, and that series was work done on black toned paper with embroidery. I really, really loved painting that series. I have to admit it was so much work, but you don't have to add a lot of stitching or, textiles, whether it be embroidery or fiber arts, to make it an interesting piece. So if you are, a watercolorist, or, if you do mixed media, if you haven't thought of embroidery, this is a really, really neat way to kind of take your work to a different level. And this just reminds me that I want to go back to embroidery. I use embroidery on 140-pound cotton watercolor paper. I've also tried it on heavier paper, and I also embellish my canvas prints that way, so it's really great on canvas. Just takes some practice getting used to, but it is just a really neat way to add texture to your work. So this little page I'm just going to actually put out as a reminder to myself. Maybe we can even do a video sometime with using embroidery in our art. And this takes me to today's more simple work of art, which is very beautiful. It almost looks like a torn paper bag, and mostly black and white and that beige, that brown paper bag color. And I really love the thin line work on here and those big marks. So that's today. I probably won't get to another video until next week, so I'll just give you a sneak peek at Friday, April 19th. Again, stitching, which is really neat. I wonder if that's the same artist. It probably is. And on that Facebook page, you can look up a list of what artist did what day, but you can just see that same fabric right along the edge here. So, this is almost like, could be like a diptych. Looking at this side by side, definitely the same artist. And then for the weekend, Saturday, April 20th, really, really beautiful mixed media work. It looks like in behind, almost like music sheets or something. Very beautiful colors. Sunday, April 21st, very interesting mixed media. This looks very three-dimensional. And again, fiber arts. Looks like a piece of fabric in there, kind of vintage. And then this I really needed to read today, Time to Sit Still. So sitting still is something I'm not that great at, and I think one of the reasons why I love doing videos with you all is, believe it or not, videos are probably the most calm part of my day. And I still feel like there's a part of me that wants to slow down the videos, slow down my painting process, and just really try and be more present in the moment without that feeling of rush. So I like this, Time to Sit Still. So that just calms me looking at that. I love the transparency of the butterfly over, it looks like, says London here, maybe like an old dollar bill, and very beautiful. Tuesday, I hope I'll be doing another video next week by Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'll just give you a sneak peek. And again, more line work, probably very much that same artist that did today, April 18th. So let's just take a quick peek. There it is. And I've been incorporating these really thin lines into my art poetry paintings, and I happen to have them here. So I'll just show you those as our next kind of step here. Some of you, well, what I'll do is I'll pull a card from my art poetry 71 card art deck, and a few of you had asked that I show more of my originals that I had used for the deck, and I have sold most of them, but I have kept a number of them as well. So that's just an example of a little original, and this was part of my Oracle deck, my art deck. Just gonna set that there for a second. So we'll just randomly pull a card today. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's weird. I was gonna go looking for this card after pulling a card, and it just happened to be the last video I had done with you all. I left off here, be present, and that was just a few days ago. And wouldn't you know that this painting is right here on the underside of the deck. So I do believe in synchronicity. So there you go. I'll just put these side by side. So this is the original, and obviously if you get this reproduced professionally, you know, a high resolution scanner, if you have a great phone and someone that does really great editing, you can get a much better image than, of course, on these cards. But this was just, you know, the colors are more saturated when they go into print in this type of way. But I just to show you all, this is a 5x7, approximately 5x7 inch original on 140 pound Artist Loft, so Michael's in-house brand paper. And these are just little pieces of tape. This is double-sided tape under here, and then when I want to secure this into a frame, I can then do that with that double-sided tape. And this one had a double mat, and it just shows you, yeah, what my artwork looks like in person. And then this little one, what a double mat looks like. And you can just see the shimmer of the watercolors. So I know many videos ago, I think I'm at over 80 videos, and this month will be my 1 year kind of anniversary on YouTube. So it was many videos ago, somebody had asked about what green that was. And I'm just gonna show you because I have it right here. Just gotta make some space on my desk. Where are we? So that green is metallic green, capital AS is the symbol, and these are Japanese paints. And I have done a swatch video on this company before. So this is Komorebi paints by Mozart. I'm a little jittery today, so I'm just gonna put that down for a second and zoom you guys in. So there's that beautiful metallic green. And there it is. It's beautiful when the light hits it. And I had also used the metallic red ochre for that bottom lotus flower, that abstract flower. So that's AH. And again, this, I have art stickers everywhere. That's my painting I had titled Poetry of the Desert. It's a little sticker label. But Mozart Komorebi is the name of that Japanese watercolor company. So I can link that for you all. And you can just see this is that pan of the watercolor there. Very beautiful shimmer. So these, they were more affordable. These are a bit more costly. It's gone up since I had purchased this set a couple years ago, but I am very, very happy with them, especially those neons. There's some really beautiful neons in this palette. And I can show you some of my other originals. I'm gonna set this aside. And so these were also in my art poetry deck. Again, the originals. Right now I just want to go over that bronze with my paint pen. It's so funny. I just really want to make that bronze stand out, but do you think I can find my bronze paint pen? Where is it? Okay, I don't see it. But the key with Posca paint pens, this is an acrylic permanent Posca paint pen. You kind of have to go over top of it a few times. So that's just one thing I noticed. And what were some of the other ones? This one. And then this little one, which is quite beautiful in person. And so let's just pull a card. Wouldn't it be really crazy if I pulled a card with some of the originals sitting right here? This deck is too thick for me to shuffle properly. I'm just going to turn that one back over and just mix them up. And I can just cut it like that. Oh, okay, so we did not pull one of the originals that I have. Do I have that one? I have a large print of this handy. But this one, it says, have deep conviction for the things that you care about. So I feel like, I was just thinking about the word conviction, you know, belief that something is, say, important to you. And I feel I have such confidence and conviction in my art practice. And it's that passion and that, you know, I feel art benefits me so much that that's sort of what fuels my passion. Is I love the process, I love the outcome, and I believe so much in art as a wellness practice. That's the thing I think about when I see this card. The art in the card, I mean, these colors are really, really beautiful and vibrant. These deep turquoise colors and the blues. And of course I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, so the mountains are pretty much in my backyard. And I had written this card, just if you really believe in something and you show up every day and you follow through with, you know, that belief, and if you have confidence in what you're doing, it's amazing where that will take you. So I think I just want to leave it at that. And this is the very first time I've pulled this card. I don't pull this card very often. So very interesting. I'm just going to slip that back in. And I want to show you, I was working on an art poetry series that I have been sharing a little bit on my channel. This is one that, well, I wanted to show you those little black lines. So just like the lines from this calendar from this artist. And when I do my paintings, I'll just see if there's another one. Okay, so you can see the line work up here connecting those beautiful greens and this neutral color, and more of that connection down here with those little lines. This painting as well, I incorporated the line work down here and up here. I didn't put the line work in this one yet, but I might. And the reason for me, I do the line work because I've learned that I like it in my work. I don't like a lot of it, and I don't like chunky black marks, but I love these thin marks. Part of me feels like it almost looks like piano keys actually now when I look at this today. But it's all about connections. So for me, art is about connecting with my art as a human and connecting with other people. For instance, this beautiful online community through art. And I feel like this line work actually connects the elements that I use in my art poetry paintings. And so I think of it as an abstract way of connecting something. And this art poetry painting, You Will Always Be the Best Part of Me. So I think of loved ones, and in particular, my husband, who's a wonderful, wonderful, supportive man, and, you know, my parents, my son, those people that are so important to me, and they are the best part of me as a human. And when I paint this way and I have these words in mind, this feeling, I need to somehow connect these organic watercolor shapes in a way that makes me feel that it relates to the words that I have chosen, if that makes sense. So that's just a little bit of artist insight, I suppose you could say. And these are on crescent board. So I titled this painting Woven Together. And yeah, this is on crescent board. I just listed actually 6 of these art poetry paintings last evening, and I've sold 3 already and was totally blown away. I think maybe to a couple people that were from my YouTube channel. So anyways, I just right now want to take a moment and just say thank you. Thank you as I pull out some of my watercolor supplies and focus on what I was gonna do with you all today. I, for the first time, was reading through my comments, and I saw that somebody actually sent me $2, sort of, you know, bought me a coffee through, there's something called Super Thanks on YouTube. And I didn't know much about it. I had turned it on, I think, a couple months ago. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to that person that had almost tipped me on here. I was really shocked to see that come through today, and it was just really, really kind, and I want to just acknowledge that. I think it was 13 Main Street 18, or it was some kind of an account that wasn't a name that I can clearly remember, but I just really appreciated that. And now in front of me, this was an art poetry painting, just the watercolor background that I had started. I think I was teaching about drips. I did this video just a couple days ago, and I paint so much, it's funny. I'm like, was this one that we did on video? I believe it was, where I was showing how to do my drips and my line work. This is on a very, very affordable watercolor paper, 140 pounds. It's kind of buckling, but I don't care because I can flatten it easily after the fact. And I thought we could just maybe go with some mark making over top and maybe create some new art poetry paintings as well at the same time. So it's tough for those of you that are new to my channel. I'll just show you sort of a quick example. These are hot pressed little mini cards that I had started doing watercolor on. This is just an example of some of my work. This is on really thick cardstock, and I coated these with Dorland's wax medium just to seal them. So just some little practice cards in different compositions, in colors that I love, just little studies. I went through a phase where I loved painting small, And some of these are not done, even though I've signed them, they're just not completed. This one I'd say is done. I really love this one. And this one, Let the Light Shine Through. This one we had done together and I finished it off camera. So I think we'll do more of these today, just because I really, really enjoy them. These ones aren't quite done. I love this size. So I had purchased this size through Beam Paints. They supply these little tins in square and in postcard size. And the paper is wonderful quality. It's by Dorerart, and they purchase, I think, from them. And I have seen these on Amazon, but there's at least a $5 difference Canadian. Getting them straight from Beam Paints website is a more affordable option, and they have way more choices. So to support a Canadian company, that's great. And what I can do is I'm going to pull out a bunch of cards. And we can kind of, just going to see the time here. Just going to have a drink of tea. I love that African red bush tea, that non-caffeinated. It's just a beautiful, warm color. And yeah, it gives me so much energy. It's not caffeinated, and it's supposedly very, very healthy, kind of like green tea is in its properties. So it's the African red bush. It's called rooibos. So very, very good. And I'm not sponsored by any tea companies. I just get distracted. So, okay. I'm loving this color palette, and when I go back with mark making supplies, I often want to have a black and white paint pen or permanent pen. You can use really, I mean, even just pencil, whatever mark making supplies you have. And this is a micron pen, a 0.5, and this is really great for fine lines. And what I like to do is, well, what I'm going to do is I love adding a round moon next to all these organic shapes. So this is my water-based metallic Sharpie paint pen in medium. And I have this little stencil that I had purchased at Michael's Canada. So it's by Artist Loft. That's their in-house brand. And I like to get the circle round because it just stands out with all those organic shapes. So I'm just gonna push down and go straight in and fill in that gold. And I don't know how I got into adding moons to so much of my work, my art poetry paintings. I just feel it looks really nice next to the organic shapes. So ideally having black and white for mark making, and I really like zeroing in on the areas that are a bit darker. And just looking at this, I really, really want to add my polka dots. And I could go in on the dark purple, but I think I'm going to go in on, yeah, I am going to go in on the dark purple, and I'm going to change the dark purple into more of a leaf because that's just my style. So we're adding in these beautiful polka dots, which polka dots, they remind me of my childhood for some reason. They remind me of magical moments, fantasy, dreamy, not quite whimsical, but just there's something about the little round marks. And I find those really appealing. So if you are kind of working on something with me, you know, just thinking about what areas are a bit darker and using maybe a lighter mark making supply to add contrast to your work. Maybe you like little X's more than you like polka dots. And it's all about just experimentation and trying things on. And immediately I see this could be a beautiful leaf. And that is way too yellow. So I'm going to grab my orange water-soluble pencil crayon and just kind of add in some loose marks to make it into an abstract leaf. And oh, there we go. I'm just going to bring you in a little closer so you can see that. And I like to find leaves in my work. I see I could do one with a lighter purple pencil crayon. I don't use purple a lot in my work. It seems to be coming out more lately. And so I'm just gonna, I might try and turn this more into a feather. So I have that inner part of the feather there, and just trying to remember, it's been a while since I've done a feather, but I'm gonna kind of do some some loose feathering marks with energy. Because you want to have the viewer see that energy. You know, how were you feeling when you painted? Were you enjoying the process, or were you really tight? And does that show? So I really like that. And what I'm going to do is add more polka dots, this time in black, in a different element in here. And I think I'm going to add them maybe in this lime green. So I'm using my fine tip Posca Japanese paint pens, and I buy these individually at the dollar store. This is a 0.7 millimeter. It was $5.75 Canadian, and that was a little while ago. It's probably gone up in the last couple of years. But I really like that fine tip for especially polka dots. Sometimes when I do other line work with this pen, it kind of catches on the cold pressed paper, and it can kind of flick little bits of pen. So it's an interesting effect, but if you're doing fine work like this, you just want to be mindful that you've had the chance to experiment with whatever supply you're using on whatever substrate you're using. So if I was using hot press paper, that really smooth watercolor paper that's a bit more, well, I mean, it's like someone taking a hot iron to it and pressing it, and it's smooth, whereas cold pressed, which is what I love, has more texture. And the higher quality the paper, the more cold pressed texture you get. At least that's what I have found in my limited experience with watercolor paper. And so just remembering that the texture can kind of flick the end of the pen. So I'm just carrying around that element of the dots, and I know I want to add in my birds, which are sort of something, oh, there's that flicking. So you can just see how the pen, how the black kind of flicked there. Not a big deal. I can go back over that with maybe white, just cover it up with like white paint pen. This is just sort of a playful practice, almost like a journal page, so I'm not going to be too particular. And so I love to add in these abstract birds. Just trying to decide, I want to add in maybe one more in here, maybe right in here. It is bugging me that that flicks so much. So I'm learning a bit about my personality as I paint and do mark making. And now I'm just kind of thinking, okay, where do I want to go? I really want to add more of this line work, but maybe the birds kind of like how I talked about the calendar art today, about that really fine line work being an element of connection, and I want to add that in my art. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try not to smudge anything, is I'm going to find a place to, let's just see, I'm going to do these almost like ribbons hanging down, being carried by the bird. That's my best way of describing it. But I'm connecting these birds, butterflies, whatever you want them to be, with the element of art that is line. And it just ties in with this a little bit more. And that was just using my Micron pen, my permanent black pen, 0.5 millimeters. And I'm going to switch to, this is 0.1, it's much smaller. The black fine Sharpie is also really good. So this is a super fine point. And I'm going to go in and add my little E marks. So this is, again, just my style, which I know some of you have been asking me to teach. I am probably going to smudge, I'm going to smudge that. So I'm going to go in this way. And so I'm basically going to do mark making with my black pen and a paint pen on these two areas of beautiful fuchsia. And I've done videos on how I have found some of my mark making. I love learning about mark making. I love looking at other artists' marks and what they use. There's so many ways to add your authentic voice into your art with mark making. I like to sign up the drip, but I'm starting to just add my initials because this is more like a journal page. I'll just sign my name. And then I just kind of, you always want to almost step back and look at your art. Just going to see if I can tilt the camera a little bit more here so you can see what I'm doing up close. And I like to add, I couldn't find my bronze Posca pen, so I'm going to use gold. And I'm just going to do little dots over those black marks that I just added, almost to make like an abstract tree. And I think of these art poetry paintings as gardens in the sky. It's basically just blobs of watercolor in colors that you love, that I love, letting it dry, kind of figuring out what composition. Then you can start to add in elements that you like. You know, what parts do you like? What process do you like? You have to enjoy the process of the art you're creating. If you don't enjoy the process, it just takes away from everything. So think about, how are you feeling and kind of what is that inner dialogue? You know, are you feeling like in a very calm place where you're excited and you are feeling joy, and, you know, are you content when you're painting, or are you feeling a bit judgmental or hard on yourself? You know, maybe even without knowing it, do you stop? Do you not finish paintings because maybe you're too hard on yourself? Just really thinking about, what is that process of creating for you, and are you enjoying it? When I see this line work here, I also see almost like a mountain shape, right? So you see these beautiful lines, and they're creating almost a protective teepee or mountain. And for me, that's symbolic in the work I do. I like to add abstract roses with different colors in my work. So I just grab a water-soluble pencil crayon, a color I'm craving in the moment, and I just go for it. I create these really loose roses, and I like to go over top with slightly different colors to really bring them out. So that's an example of one there, and I look at where do I want more color in here? Do I want a variety of colors? I feel like I could go with maybe a brighter reddish orange in here somewhere. Where would I want to put it? So I'm just kind of squinting my eyes, and I feel like it would be nice over here, or I could put it up here. Maybe I'll do a smaller one right up here, and I'm almost adding it over top of this white gap that was naturally created with the watercolors. And then this is a process of learning. Did I like that move that I had just made on the paper? Did I like that abstract rose, or was it something I wouldn't repeat? And this type of painting is very kind of not mechanical, robotic, but like it's something I do all the time because I really, really love painting this way, art poetry paintings. So I kind of know right now, painting with you all, what I know I love in my work. I'm sorry you probably can't see the whole thing. I'm just gonna just bring you back up a little bit. And let's just see. And so I'm just looking for areas to add interest, and I know what elements I really like in my art. I want to create a feather right here, so I'm just going to create kind of that, again, that line, that core. I'm not sure what the proper name is. And just deciding if this is the right color. And I'm just going to create sort of like those abstract lines, those feathered out lines. And I don't do the feather a whole lot, so I'm still learning. Sometimes I like to add the feather with a different color on the other side. So I've learned to really like adding in, say, like a brighter yellow to finish the other side of the feather. So I'm just sneaking a peek through the video here. A lot of up and down. I'm getting my good leg workout today. Even though, so I've just committed to once a week I go to a personal trainer because I've had a lot of back issues and ergonomic issues, sort of sciatica, piriformis syndrome, very, very uncomfortable, chronic pain, 24 hours a day. And long story short, I invested in a personal trainer who's been amazing and probably the only reason I can do these videos. So I just got back from that session this morning. And where am I going with this? Oh, but I was going to a physiotherapist who was also amazing, but it wasn't until I started doing strength training with my trainer that I started to feel better. Right now, I have no idea why I'm talking about this. So anyways, just the importance of looking after yourself, being mindful. Right now, I'm very mindful. I think I was repositioning, and that's what made me think of it. Being mindful, if you're creating, making sure you have a setup that's comfortable, that's sustainable, because hopefully if you find that, you'll be painting. Like, I want to paint my whole life. When I'm older, I want to keep painting. So okay, so we got that feather. That lighter yellow didn't quite come through, so I'm gonna maybe add a darker, brighter orange, kind of to tie in with up there. So I'm just kind of going over top. And the beauty of these water-soluble pencil crayons, I mean, you can get very affordable ones. If you don't like what you've done, you can go take a wet watercolor brush and just get rid of it. So I like it though. I'm gonna leave it there and just deciding I want to add in a beautiful pink. So I'm going to get a bunch of different shades of pink, and I'm going to add it in over here. Very abstract roses, but I don't know what it is about them. I really love them. Okay, so I've added in my roses, and you know, you want areas of rest as well. I feel like this purple up here is a great resting place for the eye. This could be as well. And this could be, but maybe something can go over here. I'm thinking maybe of turning this into a leaf or a feather as well. And maybe I'll use my black fine point Artist Loft pen. Let's just see. I kind of see like a leaf already here, like going downward, but I feel like because the feather's kind of going down that way, I want to create something the opposite way. So I have this feather going out to the left, I have this leaf falling down to the right, and just for principles of art and interest, which I'm hoping to inspire you a bit with that today, you kind of want to look for a variety of your elements going in different directions. So I do that with my mark making primarily. And so I have that there. So I'm going to do, just trying to decide. So yeah, I think I find it easier to turn over. And I often flick my pen upward to show the energy that I have, the passion I have for painting, for mark making. You know, because if I was too perfect, too precise, it would come across to the viewer. And I don't know how much I like that. I almost feel like I could add more detail on those leaves. So sometimes what I do is I add these little triangles. We're having extreme winds here in Calgary today. So I'd love to have my window open and listen to the little house finch that has been coming around, but it's just so windy. So if you hear that noise in the background, I have an air vent that's being kind of tossed around from the wind. So I'm just doing a little V mark going outward, and that's how I achieved that look there. And I'm just deciding what else I want to do in here. I almost want to add some white line work with my fine tip Posca paint pen. Again, this is a, what millimeters? I think it's the same as the black one, which was 0.7 millimeters. So I'm going to shake it. And just decide, what do I want to do? Maybe I'll do another kind of leaf. It's very, very fine. This pen is running out a bit. Okay, that's kind of hard to see. And I actually don't really like that. So I'm gonna just see, because it's acrylic and it's not fully dry, I can get rid of it. So, and it removed some of the watercolor here, but I'm okay with that. And the reason for that is it gives me an opportunity to add more watercolor in there, or a water-soluble material, my gelatos, which I love to use. I'll just show you how I like to use them. So I kind of like the idea of more of a peachy color. So this is by Faber-Castell. It's like watercolor in a stick. They're not the highest quality, but they're great for art journaling and just play. So it's called Peach Gelato, and I'm just gonna rub it on. Hopefully I'm not moving the camera too much, because I don't think my tripod is touching my table, which is a tip for those of you that were wondering. I've had a few people reach out and ask how I film and my setup, and the best tip I could say is don't ever have your tripod on or leaning against your table, because when you move, the camera will move. So you can see that really, really chunky peach gelato that I added there, and I'm gonna add that in another area of the painting. Maybe I'll just do it right in here, just a little bit. And I buy these art sponges at the art store, and you can see you can cut them and use different corners, and I really like these. I also like just using my finger, and I just smudge them in, rub it in. And if there was an area that you just almost wanted to resolve or edit that you didn't love, I really like that, because it almost has a very matte a matte finish next to a more shimmery orange. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix that bird there. I can go over it a little bit, even though I added that water-soluble gelato. So I'm just gonna bring that bird back in. And then I'm just looking at this. And for me, some of the words that I've used, I really like when I have a painting with a lot of brights, a lot of kind of neutrals. This one's quite slanted to more brights. It does have some gray, what I kind of feel like would be gray clouds, some darker areas. I think of the words brighter days ahead, remind myself there are brighter days ahead. So that's just something I'm gonna write on here with my micron pen, which is a 0.5 millimeters. And it's a good time to practice your writing if it's just an art journal page. And then I really like to, when I have finished working on a painting, at least when I first started, I paint so often that I don't do this practice as much anymore. But when I'm first learning how to find a composition I love, or a style that maybe I want to sell, when I'm at this point where I've been looking at it for a while, I've added the fine details, I feel like it's complete. This is an opportunity to put it in a place where I will see it at a time of my day when I am, quiet, still, sitting somewhere. So for me, my fireplace mantle, if it will hold the painting, I've had some pretty big paintings up there, but I know at night when my husband and I want to wind down and watch a show, he'll catch me, he'll be like, "Are you looking at your painting?" And it's just habit now that I will resolve my painting often in the evenings when the lighting's a bit darker and I'm far away from the painting itself. So I imagine the painting, if it was on a wall, and I look at it and I look at what areas do I love about it, what areas look a little strange, maybe I see shapes that just don't resonate with me. And then what I do is I used to write down all those steps that I would do to complete the painting the next day, but now I just remember them in my head and I'll look at it and just resolve it the night before and then go back to it the next day and it will be complete. And it's taken a lot of practice to get there, but there's something about stepping away from your work and giving it space and seeing it in a different light and seeing it from a different distance. Also, taking a photo of it in black and white's a great way to zero in on the contrast, the really dark elements next to maybe the mid values next to the very light elements. This seems to have sort of mid-tone ranges, so not super light, not super dark. And I could always go in at another time and add in more of those lights and darks. So that's just my process for some of my paintings that I thought I would share with you all. And I'm just gonna set that one aside and just see how we are for time. I have some paintings that did not make the cut for my art poetry deck. So I was designing these paintings with the words and this little element at the top. And these are wallpaper labels. So I have a wonderful local printer who had printed all of these when I was just about to publish my deck. And I wanted to kind of know what the deck would feel like, what it would look like. So this is actually a sticker he printed on wallpaper, which is really, really cool. I use these stickers for my laptop and for my water containers, all sorts of things. You've probably seen this on, there's one of my paintings. It's titled "And There You'll Be," and I stuck that on the top of this palette. But this composition, it didn't make the cut because I wanted to have a more organic line instead of the line showing right here, like as though it was cut off. So this is just an example of some paintings that did not make it into the deck, but I do really like. And some of the words just weren't right for me. This is a great example of a garden in the sky. Just, you know, I really kind of let go in this painting and went with color craving exercises in a composition that very much slanted to the right. A lot of my paintings have that slant to the right, but then sometimes I'll start to slant to the left. So kind of when you're painting with watercolors, there's a certain composition that you like. This one's was slanted to the left, and that one to the right. And this was more of an acrylic painting I had done, so it's kind of more in the middle. And here's one that was more in the middle of the page. So I thought I would try and kind of branch out and just do, oh, I know what I want to show you. So I think I'm not going to do any more mark making or painting today, but I did get this new issue of Uppercase magazine, which was all about landscapes, number 61. This magazine is published here in Calgary. And I'm just going to go up a bit. And I did apply to be in this issue, but I got declined, and that's okay. I really wanted to get my work published in here. Let me just see if I can. Okay, I'm just gonna sorry, zoom you guys back out and bring you down, because I'm trying to get, I need a little assistant here that, I need a voice activated tripod so I can say, please move up, please move down. There we go. So Uppercase magazine, it is printed here in Calgary. It's a wonderful, wonderful, inspiring magazine. As I said, I didn't get published this round, but you know, you got to keep trying. I'll probably apply again at some point in time. And the issues all have specific topics, but I really, really love this magazine and all the ideas. It is really, really great. It's just full of inspiration. So this one I have not had the chance to flip through, but I've just been so excited to find more of a landscape style than my art poetry gardens in the sky. I want to find a style that, oh, I wanted to show you this. This is super cool. This artist that does embroidered landscapes, Victoria Rose Richards. I follow her on Instagram. I've just started to follow her, but isn't her work just so amazing and unique? It's like these landscapes that are just so full of texture and color and shape and those aerial views. Really, really beautiful. But there's just something about landscapes that it's been calling my name lately. So I'm going to get out my art journal and really try and figure out how I can pull those elements that I love from my art poetry paintings and get them into more of a horizontal composition that's a bit more like an abstract landscape. This is stunning. Anne Lemon, I don't know how to pronounce, Sunny Spot Studio. So her Instagram is much easier to pronounce. Sunny Spot Studio, I love just those colors and her flowers. It's really, really a beautiful piece of art. This is beautiful as well. It's funny because I get so much joy and dopamine just from seeing this bright pink. And I happen to pull out my Daniel Smith watercolors. This is Opera Pink, that beautiful neon. And this is how much I have used it. So Opera Pink. And that's what this artist here, I'm just looking for her name. Lila Rogers. Oh, there's my timer. I didn't have a timer my last video, and I did a video for 1 hour and 45 minutes. So I'm just going to turn off my timer. Ooh, look at this textile art. I'll leave you with Adrian Lee and come right back. Okay, I can't believe I've been on here for 1 hour with you all. So this is, again, some gorgeous textile art by Adrian Lee. So stunning. And just seeing this and thinking about that daily collage fodder calendar, those, wow, there's just so much in here. It's so inspiring. I was thinking we could do maybe a little video with how I do my embroidery on my watercolor paintings. So let me know if you think that would be of interest to you. I always appreciate all the feedback on here and all the suggestions. You guys are amazing. There's just so much knowledge to be shared, and I feel like I learn so much, even though it's just me in my studio here talking to myself. But when you all watch my videos, there's such great feedback, so thank you for that. And This just makes me want to get out my sketchbook. This is really cool too, just these abstract landscapes with just more the shapes and less identifiable, you know, it's less identifiable, but you can tell there's a horizon and the light value at the top. You know, you think of it as sky, but almost like farmland. So that's Linda Nickel of Kansas. Collage art, amazing, by Lori Siebert. I know that name. I think she's an art teacher. Lori Siebert Studio. I'm pretty sure I follow her on Instagram. So just the variety of artists on here and the diversity is incredible. There's so much packed into the Uppercase magazine. I don't subscribe to any other magazine, I don't think. I really like what women create and where women create. I love that those magazines are all about inspiring women. So I do purchase those. I don't subscribe yet. So anyways, just some inspiration to leave you with, and these little, so you can subscribe at uppercasemagazine.com. Again, that is cover art by Victoria Rose, that gorgeous embroidery. And I really like this. These are creative prompts, which I have thought about. Instead of doing my art poetry deck of cards and words, I did think about doing prompts. But this is one that I need to see regularly. Quiet time. Creativity requires periods of silence. Find your landscape. What natural landscape would you pick to express your creative personality? What are the textures, palettes of these natural places? How can you bring depth to your work through emotion, research, technique, or perhaps all three? To make art, you need two driving forces, inspiration and impulse. And I'd read a quote about by one of the famous artists. I'm just kind of drawing a blank, but inspiration has to find you working. Who was that? And this is interesting. Fleeting thoughts. Our thought process can be more interesting than polished results. Document your ideas as they change shape. So I have been leaving myself little voice memos and writing down my thoughts. I have to write them down often, otherwise they're gone. But it's pretty cool to act on some of those ideas and see the final product, and it can be just so inspiring. I really like this, that what is the smallest amount of time that you need in order to be creative? A second, a few minutes, or a lifetime? And so right now, watching this video, you are carving out that creative time to, you know, hopefully you're getting inspiration from something that I've shared, even if it's just one thing. And think about why it inspires you and how it inspires you. How could you kind of take that inspiration, but also weave in, I'm thinking about textiles, weave in your authentic voice and make it something, an idea that, you know, resonates with you, that's about you. And I really love, the reason I love painting and I love watercolor. So just, I mean, I sit down and I just paint these watercolor backgrounds, and they really look like nothing, but they're colors that make me happy. and they broke the blank page, so I don't have this white page staring at me. Watercolors are easy to travel with, they're easy to have around, they're accessible. I mean, you can just take like a watercolor, you know, a couple watercolor pencils with you when you're traveling. It's very, I find it fits in with my lifestyle. So when I think of what's the smallest amount of time that I need to be creative, you know, I tend to be very prolific. And I think what I want to share with you is that, you know, I don't just sit down and paint a final painting and sell it. I paint in stages. So I paint every day, I practice every day, and I start with multiples. So I'll work on many sizes at the same time. And I do the backgrounds and then I let them dry and say, when I have even just 10 minutes the next morning, I wake up and I get up a little bit earlier than everybody else, and then I'll just do, say, mark making over top. Maybe I'll just add the moon to all of these little pieces. Maybe I'll add my birds or my signature. Maybe I thought of a title which I'll write on the back. And then every day when you're working almost on, you know, in quantity, it's amazing how it adds up to these final pieces. This is one that I had just finished and I'm really happy with it. And it's because we did this background on my channel just a couple days ago. And then that evening, the colors spoke to me so much. I loved the composition and I just wanted to finish it. And it was really easy to pull together quite quickly because I just carve out that time and I work on multiples. So I hope that encourages you that, you know, a lot of artists, I guess just to say, like, don't be hard on yourself if you can't just sit down and produce a painting that you like, that's in your style. It just takes years and years of hours and hours of showing up and working in quantity, lots of substrates out at the same time, and just those steps of, you know, then, and there are, I shouldn't say like I'm speaking for myself because a lot of artists can probably just paint start to finish, no problem. But how to fit it into your lifestyle, right? Like creativity and art has to be a lifestyle. If you love it, you will find a way to do it in small spurts that add up to so much growth. So also I like this revisit, review, remix, revise your older work. Right now I have piles of works on paper and I feel more confident to go back to them now. And you kind of forget about them, right? But just being able to revisit them and think, okay, this is where I'm at now. Look at all of the growth that, you know, I have seen in my art over even a number of months. So just don't get discouraged. And there are brighter days ahead, and I'm just going to leave you with that and with much gratitude. Thank you.